Concacaf Champions League, my friends.
It's because we won MLS Cup.
And we'll go to Costa Rica.
If we can.
Are you going to Costa Rica?
I can't. I got to actually make money at my real job.
Yeah, I can't either.
But I'm going to watch it very, very passionately at home.
It's episode 2, season 2, ATL's United podcast. Thanks for always our listeners. We appreciate you guys joining us. I'm Blake the Marshman, joined by
ATL Champion Joe.
And we're going to get right into it. Let's do this thing.
You could probably catch me in the front row with a bad bitty body banging like a bongo. We got the cup, but we want more. Can you tell a Boca? We got Leandro. Everybody here, alright, hola. You know what it is, 5 stripes, don't stop. You know what it is, we just cut up the rest. Now we got a gold star hanging above the crest. They lost in translation, they not understanding me. Joseph Martinez, Atlanta is family. My city love me, Orlando was mad at me. I can't be clean, but they still throwing trash at me. WrestleMania, Frank the boy, MLS champs. Gotta thank the Lord, boy, we number 1. What you take us for? Gotta shout out Arthur Blank, sing the chorus.
Oh, man. If one day Arthur Blank could sing the chorus, that means we made it, Blake. That means we made it.
I think we already made it.
Thank you guys for coming back to ATLians United. And once again, if you like us, if you like the show, hit subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Tell them to subscribe. That really helps us out. And if you really, really like us, make sure to comment. Give us 5-star rating for the formerly 5 Stripes. Is that right? Or are we still 5 Stripes?
No, we still got 5 stripes.
I'm always going to call us the 5 Stripes.
Yeah.
But we had that kit reveal this week.
We did. We had a lot going on this week. Thanks, guys, once again for tuning in. Always, like Joe said, we appreciate everybody that listens to the show. We're a couple fans, got together, made a podcast for the fans, and we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Couldn't do this thing without you. We're going to dive right into the news, Joe, because we have a lot of news. First breaking news is relating to just this odd schedule to start the season. We're starting earlier this year. It's still February. We're about to have a game Thursday night at 10 p.m. I don't know about... I'm probably going to go to Brewhouse. I don't know... Where are you planning on watching this? I feel like most people are going to be on their couch.
At 10 p.m., as I just said previously, I'm going to watch it comfortably at home because I got to get up early the next day and go to work. It's midweek. And because of this odd schedule, Blake, you and I are recording a little bit early this week and next week. So, guys, if you see a podcast pop up on your apps that you guys listen to us every week a little bit earlier than a Thursday or Friday, it's okay. It means we recorded just a little bit early just to kind of keep us up to date with this Concacaf Champions League schedule.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep you guys on your toes. Atlanta United's keeping us on our toes. We're starting early. We got games midweek. We got games here or there. If we advance in the Concacaf Champions League, it's just going to get even crazier, our schedule. So, if you guys see a podcast pop up, it's probably new. Hopefully it doesn't suck. We're going to keep rolling. New kit was released. That's the biggest news, I guess, out of this week in terms of what Atlanta United's marketing / social media team wants us to think. Joe, give me your take. I want in-depth analysis on this new kit.
Well, it was about as good of a kept secret as P.D. Martinez coming to Atlanta United.
Which was not very good secret.
Yeah, it was leaked months before. We had plenty of pictures streaming out there just showing us what it's going to look like. And we got to say goodbye to the 5-stripe design. That really breaks my heart. We were setting up such a solid tradition of being called the 5 Stripes. We call our team the 5 Stripes. And now we have way more than 5 stripes on our jersey.
Yeah, we got 5 stripes in the crest. We're going to have 5 stars above the crest pretty soon. I'd give it like 4 or 5 more seasons before you add those championships on. But I think this is a good-looking jersey and a good step for the team. I think we're still the 5 stripes. I don't think that takes away from our nickname. Got 5 stripes. There's a lot of 5 references throughout the club's history. I just can't think of them. Is LGP number 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so we still have that going for us, right? Or I don't know. Maybe he's not. All I'm saying is somewhere in the team, in our core, we have 5 stripes. And it's still on the crest. But this jersey has how many stripes, Joe?
I saw 9 across the front. And then I don't know if you want to call the butt stripes continuation of the stripes, but along the backside, the butt has a bunch of stripes.
Yeah. And as usual, you guys are going to get price gouged if you guys go out and try to buy this jersey. I think it's $150 plus for an authentic jersey. You guys can also buy a replica jersey, which in the past, a lot of people have brought, replica jerseys thinking, hey, it looks just like the regular jersey. This year, though, the design's totally different. We have
Totally different.
We have stripes on the butt on the authentic jersey, where the replica is just all black back. And apparently the stars have been falling off of the replica jerseys.
Yeah, well,
the cheaper ones is what I've heard. Like, people wash them and they get it out of the wash and the star's gone.
No more star. Well, what they've done with that is the replica came out with no star on it, and the team store or just the front office in general was like, well, we can just add a star to it. You can just iron it on. And so the team store's been selling iron-on stars for $5, and they've added it to all the replicas. So when they fall off in the wash, you can just go back to the team store and buy a new star to iron on, and you can bring in any of your old jerseys that you still have. You have the 5-stripe kit, and you want to put the star on it, just bring it into the team store. They'll iron on a star for you.
I mean,
and who am I kidding, Blake? I'm going to go to the store. I've already been. They were sold out of jerseys, and I'm still going to buy the top-notch jersey, and I don't care what the jersey that they come out with next. I'm buying it. It's just going to be a constant cycle. Every year I'm going to buy a new jersey and spend more money, and that's the whole idea behind this new jersey.
I don't really like the whole idea. At some point, I'm going to pay more for jerseys than I do for season tickets. And I think at that point, it might get ridiculous. $150 for a jersey is absolutely... I mean, you could go probably to 2 Atlanta United games and have like 4 beers each just for the cost of a jersey.
You still get your 15% discount if you get it at the team store.
And then the star might fall off. Like, I don't know. I understand that we need to make money. I understand that merchandise sales are a huge part of this club. The design's kind of cool. I mean, there's stripes on the butt. People are complaining about that. I think it's unique. I think it's original. I don't care that it's not 5 stripes across the front. I think it looks cool. I think it'll look really good on the players, and we'll be able to clearly read their names and numbers with the black slot and the gold lettering and the gold numbers. So I'm excited about being able to see our players' names and numbers, unlike King Peach jerseys. No shade there, but I don't like those jerseys either.
And it won't be long until you can go online and find a jersey made in China or Taiwan that'll take 2 months to ship to you, but you can get for like $13.
Yeah, that's always a great option. Also, they've shipped out the new season ticket holder packages. I don't know. I'm still waiting on mine in the mail. I know I got a message from UPS at like 10 at night. It was like, your package has been delayed. I had a mini meltdown. I threw a bunch of things across my bedroom. I think I broke my lamp.
Blake, we may have gotten identical messages because my package did not come today either. And I was so excited to see it, and I still don't know what's going on. And I've kind of blocked myself away from social media because I want to be surprised, just like the rest of you. And we're not going to spoil it for anyone else that didn't pick it up this week. And if you did, then you're just going to have to wait till next week, and we'll talk about what we got in the mail.
Or you could just get on your phone or the internet, and you'd probably find out what came. But I like the surprise. It's like opening a present. It's really exciting. The only other thing to announce in terms of the jerseys, we got new goalie kits. They are tie-dye. So we're going hippie this year for our goalie kit. Short sleeve and long sleeve. We got a tie-dye black and a tie-dye blue. I know Britt, our producer, was actually rocking the tie-dye black. It looks sharp.
Yeah, soon to be seen at a local festival near you, 420 Fest.
Yeah, or just on Brad, the wall. 420 Fest. That's just around the corner. Feels like...
Well, you got to wait till April 20th.
That's coming up fast.
Weekend.
It always comes up really fast. Anyways, Joe, I don't have a lot of other news. Biggest news that I want to highlight, other than this kit release, this is fantastic news, and this is breaking news. Darlington Nagbe has said he's returning to Atlanta. He loves living in Atlanta. And there was a giant article released today with Nagbe actually addressed the press, which he's been avoiding, saying that his absence was due to personal issues. I'm guessing family. He even addressed the Columbus speculation head on. He said that it makes a lot of sense. That was my old coach. I have family there, but I love living in Atlanta, and I'm excited to help this team this season. This was the best news since our last show. It's the best possible news because Nagbe is a linchpin in our midfield.
The holdout is over.
Yes! It's over.
I am not mad at you anymore, Nagbe.
Yeah.
I never was.
I was thinking about instead of investing in a new jersey this year, I was just going to peel the Nagbe off of the back of my old jersey and then maybe get some black paint, to kind of just to paint like the top 2/3 of the jersey, and then maybe just put like PD on it. But now I don't have to do that.
Well,
Because
you could still do that if you really want to.
That would really hurt me to peel Nagby off.
That'd be tough to do as well. That would hurt so hard.
Injury report. Injury report.
Okay, injury report. Like I talked about last week, Franco Escobar. Shoulder, clavicle, he's got something wrong with him. We're not going to expect him for this first Concacaf Champions League game.
Stay away from Brad.
Kevin Kratz. I forgot this guy was on our team. I mean, I didn't forget he was on our team.
Kratz fever. You wrote a song about him. You wrote a song about him last year. You already forgot?
Kratz fever. Yeah, I guess I got the fever. I forgot about Kevin Kratz. I don't know where he's going to play on this team. Or if he even fits in any of our starting 11s.
Oh, you saw Petey Martinez with some wonderful golazo free kicks and assists from a free kick. So that was Kratz specialist. He was a free kick specialist, and now we got Petey Martinez who's looking phenomenal at him. Kratz just moved even further down the depth chart.
I guess so. I still think late in the game, if we bring Kratz on, we could have, when they're standing behind the ball, we could have someone on the left and someone on the right. Kratz could be on his right dominant foot. We could have PD on the left. The defense would have no idea. The goalie would have no idea where to put his wall.
And not to mention, with this congested schedule, the CONCACAF Champions League in our midst, Kratz is very good at playing in tournaments. He has been his whole career. If you don't remember U.S. Open Cup in our inaugural season, he scored a goal when we went up to Kennesaw. So he's accustomed to scoring goals at that Kennesaw Stadium. He's going to be very dearly missed if he can't make that second leg of the tournament.
Yeah, so Kevin Kratz, anyways, why we're talking about him is he's hurt. So it's all kind of irrelevant. With a calf injury, his left calf, so at least it's not his free kick striking foot. He's day-to-day. Day-to-day pretty much means he's hurt, but we don't know when he's back, but it shouldn't be long-term. That's how I interpret the injuries.
So it literally means day to day.
It means what it means. Dion Pereira,
good breakdown.
The young English winger from Watford that we acquired, he's not hurt, but he doesn't have his work visa yet. So he's having some visa issues. I know we got a really good attorney that's been acquiring green cards for our club's like elite players. So I think that this will get sorted out before the beginning of the season.
Right.
I just wouldn't expect to see him Thursday night down in Costa Rica because if he can't work in the U.S., I doubt he can work in Costa Rica. Or does it work like that?
It doesn't. He has to have a visa to play for the team if he's an international player. And this may be the first blunder that our front office has faced when it's come to international player slots and getting the right paperwork done in time for a game. And maybe they're just not used to the CONCACAF Champions League starting our season so early.
Yeah, and then we got a couple Super Draft players, and obviously our timeline is way moved up this year. Normally we start the season in March. We're way, way pushed up. Anderson Asiedu and Amir Bashti, our two Super Draft players, haven't signed yet, so they haven't made the trip. This is normal. Normally when we sign players in the Super Draft, it takes until the end of February to get their contract sorted. Just with this early start to the season, it's kind of throwing our front office off. Normally they have time to sort out visa issues, get contracts sorted out. They're dealing with agents. They're dealing with government agencies. There's a lot going on. So the only people that are really hurting other than Franco Escobar, Kevin Kratz, is our front office because they're trying to expedite this timeline. Honestly, I don't have much else to report on injuries. Joe, do you have anything else?
Yeah, this is a wonderful time of year. We're about to hit up that Champions League, and it's time to celebrate. And the best way I like to celebrate is by a beer. Beer of the week! Every week. And to our new listeners and old, as that matter, I want to just let you guys know that every single week we like to support local breweries, and we like to call out one of the local Atlanta, or even by that matter, Georgia breweries to our show, and we introduce one of their either newer beers or one that we have really enjoyed over the past week or several weeks leading up to the show. And so this week I'm bringing on one of Atlanta's finest and one of their very first craft breweries, Sweetwater. And they came out with a strain recently of the 420 brand. They took that and blended it with G13. And they call this Sweetwater's G13 IPA.
Let's spike it in. I was actually at their 22nd anniversary party this past Saturday. They did like a little festival. They had music. They had obviously this beer, lots of other beers. But Sweetwater's an Atlanta staple. And we got to spike it home.
So I'm going to take the golden spike that they shipped to us last year and spike it in with a little ATL chant. ATL!
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, 420 strain. It smells like 420. This is a brewery that opens up at 420 every day. They have fully embraced the 420 lifestyle. And all I can say is you guys go pick up G13 if you haven't already. Crack it open. I wouldn't recommend doing it around, people that might judge you for 420 because...
Or you can do it as a kind of ironic thing. Open it up near a cop as long as you're in a place that you can legally drink. And then let him get that aroma and that smell that comes out of the can as soon as you crack it open and see what he says.
Yeah, this thing smells... It smells illegal, but it tastes delicious and is perfectly legal. And Sweetwater, obviously, probably the most famous Atlanta brewery. Not the original Atlanta brewery. That's owned by Atlanta Brewing Company, formerly Red Brick.
And formerly Atlanta Brewing Company.
And formerly, before Red Brick. And then Red Brick. And then, okay, I'm getting lost.
Yeah, but this week's about Sweetwater.
Sweetwater's great. I love Sweetwater. I'm not a fan of their blueberry beer, but every single other beer is fantastic. Sweetwater Blue... the only one on their entire catalog that I don't like. I'm just throwing that out there. So what I'm saying, listeners, is we will never feature Sweetwater Blue on our show or I will quit.
But this week, we're featuring Sweetwater G13 IPA.
You guys check out Sweetwater. They're building bigger and better things every time I get out there. We talked about 420 Fest earlier. They also are sponsors of 420 Fest this year, so don't forget to check that out.
So watch out for 420 Fest. They're going to have that goalie kit with 420 labeled across the front instead of AmFam.
I guarantee you will find someone wearing the Atlanta United tie-dye goalie jersey drinking a 420 strain of G13 IPA at the 420 Fest. That's a guarantee. This is a great beer. Let's keep drinking it. It's time to preview the Concacaf Champions League.
And what a week it is. If you guys listened last year, you knew how much of a fan ATL Joe was of qualifying for the Concacaf Champions League. And we've done it, and now we are here. So, a couple of you might not really fully understand what this is we're playing in this week time. Apparently, the front office didn't understand it was that big of a game that we couldn't put it in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Well, there's apparently a monster jam. Like, the monster trucks with the giant tires.
With Gravedigger.
Yeah, Gravedigger. Apparently they sell maybe 20,000 tickets, but they reserve the spot way ahead of time. So Mercedes-Benz is going to be a big pile of dirt for not this week, but the following week. And the people that don't like soccer are going to pile in, watch giant trucks ramp around Mercedes-Benz and fall over and cheer.
Yeah. And so, let's go back to what is Concacaf Champions League.
Did we get off track there?
We got a little bit off track. I want to kind of bring it back in.
I didn't know if we're going to do a little Monster Jam preview. Because I can do a Monster Jam preview.
This Sunday. Monster Jam.
No, I'm pretty familiar. I had a roommate that was really into dirt bikes and Monster Jam. And
okay.
I could
go. Let's hear it. Let me hear what
I could go into a full preview. They're calling it the Pit Party in Atlanta. It's going to be absolutely insane. It's featuring Black Pearl, Black Stallion, Dragon, and El Toro Loco are some of the headliners.
Are they going to see the Gulch?
And you already mentioned, guess who's there as well? Gravedigger. That's right. I'm
still waiting on your whole preview. Are you going to give us a voice? Or?
I would say that the Gravedigger's always the odds-on favorites, but a dark horse this year to watch out for is a monster truck driven by Nick Pagliarulo. It's the Kraken. So watch out for the Kraken. If you guys
are you actually going to the Monster Jam this?
No, I'm just telling
weekend?
you. I got really into it. It was just like a little side hobby I had for about 2 days. I researched a lot about Monster Jam.
All right, well,
yeah. So
now you guys know a little bit about Blake the Marshman.
Yeah, let's talk about the Concacaf Champions League.
Going back onto track, back to the subject. What is the Concacaf Champions League? And people might ask you as a soccer fan around town, is like, Concacaf? What is that? Well, it's the Confederation of North Central America and Caribbean Association Football. Say that 5 times fast.
I'm not going to try.
Yeah, and so it's CONCACAF Champions League. It's with those nations that we're saying, North America, Central America, and Caribbean islands. And they all come around and they get their leagues, like Mexico's league, Costa Rica's league, Jamaica's league, and a couple of the Caribbean nations, U.S. and Canada, all combine and put into a 16-team tournament. and they do a 2-leg tournament all the way up until the final, bracket style, until we get 2 finals, and 1 final leg of the tournament is 1 leg. And ask Toronto how well that goes, because they were the team that faced Tigres in the final last year, and they lost in a penalty shootout.
Yeah, and I mean, Toronto last year, we want to not be what Toronto was last year. Toronto was coming off an MLS Cup championship and a Supporters Shield championship, so they won 2 cups rolling in to 2018. They hit the ground running with the Concacaf Champions League and make it all the way to the final. They lose the final, and their entire season also plummeted after that. They finished close to the bottom in the MLS standings, didn't make the playoffs. So I think, and I'm sure we're going to hit on this later, Joe, the one takeaway I would take from Toronto's experience in the Champions League last year is let's go to the final just like Toronto, but we need to fight this battle on 2 fronts, and they failed to do that last year. So kind of dive into how this tournament works and what it's going to look like for our club as we fight for MLS positioning and to move forward in the CONCACAF.
All right, so there's multiple teams from multiple nations. USA gets 4 teams, and Mexico gets 4 teams. A bunch of other nations get either 1 or 2 teams accordingly, Canada being 1 team. Costa Rica has 2 teams. But there's a lot of newcomers this year. And a matter of fact, there's only 1 returning champion from the previous, since they changed the rules of the CONCACAF, and that would be Monterrey. They're the only team of the whole field that has won the cup before. So there's a really good chance that we're going to have a new champion. And then amongst those teams, the team with the most experience happens to be the team that Atlanta United is paired up against, and that is CS Herediano. And CS stands for Club Sport Herediano, or in English probably would reverse that, would be Sports Club Herediano.
So it's pronounced Herediano. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's the way to say it.
Herediano.
Herediano would be the team that we're about to face. And before I break down our opponent with Herediano, Blake, I wanted to talk to you. You're very familiar with CONCACAF and like qualifications and kind of how weird going to play in some of these Central American states or nations, excuse me, but and some of their fields and how bumpy they can be and kind of the oddness of the travel. And do you have anything to dive down further on that?
I mean, all I will say is that whenever you cross into another country, the game is going to be totally different. You talked about Monterrey in Mexico. They've won this tournament before. They have one of the most beautiful stadiums, honestly, in the entire planet. There's mountains behind it that you can see from inside the stadium. It's a beautiful region in Mexico. Drawing a team like Monterrey is a great draw. Drawing a team in Costa Rica like Herediano, we have no idea where we're going, what we're doing. To the traveling supporters that are making the trip down, much respect and safe travels, because Costa Rica is a different beast. We've never played a game in Costa Rica. In fact, Atlanta United has never played a competitive game outside of, the U.S. and Canada. And so we're going to foreign soil, and this is fun. Like, this is what a lot of people fell in love with club soccer when it was the European Champions League, Champions Leagues around the world, because it brings people from other countries together in a competitive environment. This isn't a friendly, and we're fighting for a trophy. And I think this is a monumental moment in Atlanta United's history. But at the same time, they can pull whatever tricks they want to pull. Their fans are going to be raucous. That's a pretty good word, right? Raucous is that's a good fan term.
It's a good one. Raucous is how I would pronounce it.
Raucous. Our supporters, I would be wanting to stay in packs if I'm down there. I would encourage all our supporters traveling down to stay together. We have no idea how hostile their supporters are. A lot of supporters in other countries can be very hostile to away fans.
Yeah, and be aware of the players on the field just starting to come up with a lot of quirky type of movements, a lot of fake fouls or rolling around and wasting time, maybe trying to really play out the fouling, and the refs could be completely different than the MLS style of refs.
Yeah, so just like, I'm sure a lot of you guys watch the European Champions League on TV. I know we had some matches today, yesterday between Liverpool, Bayern Munich. We've seen Barcelona, Lyon play. Those are the best refs in all of Europe, reffing those Champions League matches in Europe. The best refs in all of CONCACAF, it's a little sketchier, if I'm just going to say it bluntly. We're getting refs from all over Central, all over the Caribbean, all over North America, and it's just no telling what's going to go down in these games. We're going to have to be tough. We're going to have to fight. We're not going to be able to play necessarily the beautiful game at all points. Pitches might be rough. Players might play dirty. We just got to be up for a fight. And I think if we attack this game with a fighting mentality, like we're going down to Costa Rica to get a result, get a couple of away goals, and come back to Atlanta. And even though we're not playing in Mercedes-Benz, Kennesaw will be rocking. And we're going to go ahead and move forward in this competition so that we can play in Mercedes-Benz in the next round. I think our team is going to take this thing seriously, despite the travel challenges. Who knows what the pitch is going to be like? Who knows who the refs are going to be like? How crazy are their fans going to be? We got to put all that behind us. At the end of the day, it's 11 versus 11, and we got to go in there ready for a fight.
Yeah, and let me break down a little bit of our opponent now that we've broken down CONCACAF. So CS Herediano. Recent form of theirs, we go back their last 5 games, they have 2 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. But if I want to break it down a little bit further, they've played 9 league games this year in their domestic league of Costa Rica, and they have not fared well. They're 3-3-3 throughout all their competitions in their domestic cup, and they're sitting towards the bottom of their table. So they qualified last year by winning their domestic title in a 3-2 win against Saspariso. I may have said that wrong. But they qualified last year with that, and then they started off this year by changing coaches, and then they had to bring in a whole new crop of players. They went berserk during this offseason and brought in 5 new faces to try to implement into their starting lineup, as well as a new coach. So they're going through a lot of change, but 2 of their 3 wins have come recently. So they're starting to gain a little bit of momentum, probably at the right time. But they're going to be a team that's been playing domestically, where Atlanta is a team that has not started their season yet. So it's kind of like, are they going to be a little tired, or are they going to be in form while Atlanta's coming in as a team that may not be in form? This team, Herediano, had just played 3 days ago prior to the start of this CONCACAF Champions League game. Before we do this, do you have anything to implement before I break down some of the players break?
I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I've done some minor scouting on YouTube. I've watched a couple highlights. I mean, their stadium seems nice enough. I think that them being in the middle of their domestic season is advantage them because of match fitness. But in terms of form, they've kind of had a bumpy start. Like you said, they're 3-3-3. There might be a little bit of doubt in their minds. Are they as good of a team as they were last year? They won the championship, but now they're sitting near the bottom of the table this new season. So maybe we're catching them at a good time. Their form's dipped. They've made a lot of transitions. I think we could be punching them at the right time with a bunch of healthy, rested players, say for, Kratz and Escobar, ready to hit the ground running. PD's ready to make his mark. Joseph is ready to fire. I think we're going to go full strength, and I think that we're catching them at a good time because they're not in the greatest of form, even though they're going to have more match fitness than we do.
All right, so I want to break down a few of their players on their team to watch for. I like to do this on a weekly basis, kind of go in and pick out some of the star players or guys that are doing very well for their current team that we're facing. This is a Costa Rican team, and Costa Rica is commonly known to do well at an international stage. They're known as the Ticos. People in Costa Rica often are called as Ticos, which is another word. English translation roughly translates to passionate. One guy that really stood out to me when I looked at their roster is Junior Diaz. He's a defender. He used to be a mainstay on Costa Rica's national team. And back in 2014, when they made that incredible run to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, he was that speedy left back just bombing up and down that right and left side whenever he played. And he's getting older. He's up there. He's 35, but this is a guy, he still has some, he may have lost a step, but he still has some top-notch speed. He formerly was rated as FIFA's fastest player, kind of like Tito Villalba was a couple years ago. And he's a defender, so watch out for him on that left or right side, wherever they want to put him on. Other than that, there's another guy who plays for the Ticos, Costa Rica's national team. backing up a bit, Junior Diaz did not make the current World Cup squad, maybe because of age. He's been replaced by a midfielder, Randall Azofaifa. He's a little Fife dog, midfielder, another older guy, but he is very common to CONCACAF and a very mainstay into that midfield. He plays a very rock-solid defender for them.
Say that name again.
Randall Azofaifa.
Wow, that's a fun one. We've had some fun names to say. I think Azofaifa, that's got to be in the top 25 names we've said on the show. Not to interrupt you, Joe, I did a little research on Tico and what it means. I just wanted to drop in here. So it is like a term for a native of Costa Rica, but I did not know this. There's actually Costa Rican Spanish. So it's like a dialect of Spanish. It's kind of a slang on it. They use this words ending in like ico, ica, tico, or tica. It normally means small in Spanish, but in Costa Rica, it denotes affection. So if you wanted to, say something about a tico, it's not just a small person, it's a small person that I love. I don't know if that's relevant at all.
Very relevant, because we're going to go play a lot of ticos in Costa Rica.
But I feel like we could also use that to insult them when we play them, but insult them respectfully. Kind of like how we insult Orlando for throwing trash at us. We could insult Costa Rica, and especially in this match for being ticos, because we can call them very small, affectionately.
They have small hands.
Yeah,
Tico hands.
affectionately, you guys are small people. Is that taking it too far?
No, that's not bad.
Okay.
Well, one more thing, if we're gonna
Some
go ahead
chance ideas
and pick apart the Ticos down there.
Fans.
I'm trying to look for a goal scorer on this team, and it seems like they very much spread around who scores goals. As a matter of fact, I went back and looked at their last 15 goals, and they have been scored by 14 different players. The only person on their team to have scored twice in their last 15 goals scored is their forward, Aldo Magana. And he's a mainstay as a starter up front. They usually play two at the front or interchangeably have maybe one at number 9 and then a false 9 type of player. And so they really spread around, and they've only had 11 goals in 9 games this season. So they've been finding it difficult at times to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think that bodes very well for Atlanta United, who preseason have find it very easy to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, we scored a lot of goals in the preseason. I think one thing to highlight, though, is that, goals coming from different players isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's something I want to see a lot of out of Atlanta United this year, is different people getting on the score sheet. A player like Nagby, we talked about him earlier, coming back into the team. I'd like to see him get his goal tally up there. I'd like to see more goals for Gressel. So I don't want to read too much into that, not to contradict you, but I just feel like goals being shared amongst the team builds team morale. Everyone feels like they're getting in on the attack. And so we don't really have a specific guy we can focus on man marking or defending. So to kind of contradict your point, I think it's good that they're spreading it out, but at the same time, we don't know who to put our focus on stopping. Like if someone plays Atlanta United, they're saying, well, we got to stop Joseph Martinez from scoring. Well,
Blake, this is a perfect time to break it down into our newly named section. It's time for Total Tactics! That's right. We had to come up with a new name for this section, and it just stuck after we hit it one time last week.
Yeah, well,
Total Tactics!
Frank Dubor has joined our squad. Frank the Tank. And Frank the Tank is come in. He's implemented a new system. We've gotten quotes last week from Michael Parkhurst talking about how it's very similar to how Tata played, but at the same time entirely different. And I think that one thing we need to highlight going into this match is that we have no idea what the starting 11 is going to look like. I'm just going to say it. I have no earthly clue. I can give you my best shot at what our lineup's going to look like, but I would like to dive a little deeper before I start naming off names on the back of a jersey. I think that we really have to talk about how we're going to play. What style are we focusing on? And I really think that the way this team is lined up, I was talking about it to someone recently at Brewhouse, is that we do not have a starting right back or a starting left back. We have right and left wing back or midfielders, but we're really setting this team up to play with 3 center backs. And I mean, we played at times like this last year under Tata, but I think that this is something that's going to take the fans a little while to get used to. We're still going to press. We're going to press in zones instead of man marking. This is going to be very interesting to see how we line up this first game. I'm almost as excited to see our tactical play as I am to see the scoreboard at the end of the game, because this is going to shape the rest of our season. How do we line up? How do we press teams? What's our formation? And what is Frank Dabor's what is his style? Like, what is he trying to implement? Are we going to be heavy possession? Are we going to leave this game with 70% possession and hope they don't counterattack? Are we going to press the whole match? Are we going to stick to the zone press? Are we going to always play 3 at the back? There's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to how we're going to play tactically. I know we're going to play short, sharp passes. I know that we're going to try to have heavy possession, but there's a lot of unanswered questions, Joe. Like, what are your thoughts on just formation and how we're going to kind of move forward as a unit in terms of our style of play? Like, what are your thoughts here?
Well, Blake, I know we've talked about this in our own personal conversations before, and I think we've come to a consensus opinion that we're looking at a 3 in the back system with those 2 wing backs. So it kind of goes from a 3-4-3, if you will, and that means those wing backs kind of push up with 2 central midfielders and then adding 3 at the front. And we know the front center striker is going to be Joseph Martinez. But there's like questions surrounding all over the pitch. And 3 center backs. So now we know Parkey and LGP are going to be there. But is Miles Robinson going to be the new addition to that center back? Is it going to be Pogba, who we brought in over a big signing over the offseason? Or is Lorenowitz going to be that central rock who played so well in there at times last season and has played just mind-boggling where you don't want him back there?
Yeah, well, so I will say one thing about Larry. For those of you guys who don't know his nickname, Jeff Lorenowitz, kind of a journeyman for us. Is he the oldest player on our squad? I believe he's older than Parkey, correct?
He's got Parkey beat by a couple months.
Yeah, so I believe he's the oldest player on our squad. Just one thing I wanted to highlight, and I've seen this across major European clubs, major clubs across the world, is that when a player reaches the age that Larry is at, a lot of times they'll move them from midfield to center back to extend their career. And I think that due to how, I guess not young we are in the midfield, but due to our midfield depth with Nagbe announcing that he's coming back, I really see Larry, his shot at the starting 11 might be at center back. If he can outplay Miles Robinson, if he can outplay, obviously, Pogba coming in, but then also Parkey is not going to be able to play more than 1 match a week. And a lot of weeks we're going to have 2 matches per week. So I think that Larry's position this year might be at center back. I think that we can't forget about Escobar. Escobar is not really a right midfielder or right wing back. I'd say that's more Gressel's position. I think Escobar is a great attacking threat moving forward, but his strength is still in defense. He's tall, he's big, and he has a presence near the center of the box. And so I like to see, I mean, my ideal back 3, if we're just going to go ahead and throw it out there, would be LGP, Parkey, and Escobar if I'm going to have 3 center backs right now. What about you, Joe?
I think I'm right there with you, but we also got to remember that Escobar currently is injured. So when healthy, Escobar, I think I slot him right there in that center back role. He was a guy constantly last year, I remember, going up and winning aerial duels on the defensive end. And he's really good with the ball at his feet at times, going down there. But he's scored goals for us, too. I would not be surprised if he plays as a wing back as well. And another thing I want to add is that be prepared for heavy rotation during this season, especially at the beginning when it's combined with a bunch of Concacaf games and then a bunch of regular season games, throwing midweek games at us too. I'm totally prepared with our depth and our roster depth all around the board to have heavy rotation all around.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we have to be patient with as fans, is there's not going to be a locked-in starting 11 like in the season past. Like, we would say, okay, we played last Saturday, now we're playing on a Sunday. We're gonna know the starting 11. You know, there was no surprise when the names flashed up on the Halo board. But I think this year it's going to be kind of a, not a dice roll, but I think we're going to see heavy rotation. We've got some squad depth. And I'm going to revert back to something before we dive into what's beyond the defenders. Toronto last year. I've always heard this, and I've heard this, I use it in my professional life, but I try to also use it in my personal life, is that it's better, you should always learn from mistakes, right? But it's better to learn from other people's mistakes than to learn from your own mistakes. Correct me if I'm wrong there. When you say that's slightly true.
I don't know. That might be a personal preference thing.
So I mean, that's
I'll roll with it.
Okay, just roll with it for the time being. So I think in this situation, we should probably learn from Toronto's mistakes rather than make these mistakes ourselves and then learn from them down the road.
Well, when you put it that way.
Well, yeah, that's what I was putting it the first way. Anyways, Toronto did not have the depth to fight a war on two fronts. The season is a war, and I'm going to get dramatic here. And like I said, we got to take the fight to Costa Rica. We got to take the fight to Herediano. But at the same time, we have another fight to fight, and that's the MLS. And we got to defend our championship. And so we have to have the players, the soldiers, to go out there, rotate. We're going to pick up injuries. We're going to have to rotate players based on form. So I would challenge our fans this year to think of this as a two-front battle and to not get too distracted with one battle over the other, but to stay focused on the end goal. I really think this team has the depth to reach the final of not only the MLS Cup, I think we could win the Shield, and I think we could reach the final of the Concacaf Champions League, but we have to adapt, and we have to rotate, and we have to be ready for random crazy lineups, and the next man up's got to step up. Like,
yes.
No matter who's on the bench on our team, they got to be ready to be called on. Andrew Carleton, I'm talking to you. George Bello, I'm talking to you. Players on the fringe last year, even Kevin Kratz, we talked about him. I forgot he was on our team. I was just joking. Love Kratz fever. They got to be ready to step up when called upon because there's no complacency this year. There's plenty of games, plenty of minutes to go around. Everyone's going to get a shot. And then it's like, what are you going to do with your shot? And that's...
Brandon Vasquez or Mario Williams are going to be called upon at some point during this condensed stretch of games. And I'm going to hope to see some goals out of those two.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Brandon Vasquez, step up. You know, like Toronto last year, yes, they made it to the final of the Concacaf Champions League. But on the reverse end, they finished nearly dead last in the MLS. Like, I'm not going to accept that this year. I don't think our fan base is going to accept that. I don't think our front office is going to accept that. It's not like we can just pick one competition, do well, and then our French players are like, yeah, we're doing well in the CONCACAF, but we're last in the MLS. That's not going to fly here.
Yeah, and so one thing to look forward, if we can go on and advance and win the Concacaf Champions League, that means we qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup, and we go play the winners of all the other confederations around the world, including UEFA Champions League champion. And we have a chance to be claimed the best club in the world. And I know every Atlanta United fan wants to be in that tournament. How do you want to watch this game? There's a couple of ways if you want to watch the Champions League, CONCACAF Champions League, coming up Thursday night. You can watch it on Univision Deportes. They're going to be doing a doubleheader where you can watch, I believe is it Vancouver Whitecaps? Or no, it's Sporting Kansas City plays before us. And then late night at 10 o'clock, it's Atlanta United playing. But if you want to watch the American version.
Wait, 1 second. So can I get Univision? I believe you can get Univision on your regular antenna, correct? Like if you have a digital antenna, just for our listeners out there, that actually is a channel. Univision does come in. So you don't have to stream it. It's not an internet option.
That depends on where you live and if you get that reception or not. So if you have a digital antenna...
If you're in the city, like I live in Kirkwood, if you guys are in the city, you guys should get that signal. And the Spanish commentary is absolutely fantastic.
Do you know what channel it comes on?
I don't know it off the top of my head. It's something dash something. So that should narrow it down for
then you guys could go ahead and try to surf for that. But if you don't have that and you've got the internet, you can watch it via Yahoo Sports. Streaming on Yahoo Sports and the Yahoo Sports app. Other than that, you might be able to listen to it on 92.9 The Game. And you know Mike Conti does a wonderful job. Everyone's been a huge fan of his. And 92.9 The Game, we can't thank you enough for putting the games on the radio. One of the best things that I've heard a couple people do last season was watch the Spanish channel and sync it up with 92.9 The Game's live stream online and try to have Mike Conti talking over the Spanish language for people who don't know Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Conti, Jason Longshore, I know they're making the trip down to Costa Rica. Those guys always do a fantastic job. So you guys tune in on Thursday. Joe and I are going to kind of wrap up this tactics section. Joe, I really want to know how you see us lining up. I know we've talked about lineup. We've talked about the back three. Our midfield is totally cluttered. We got Barco. We got Nagby. We got Remedy. We got Gressel. We got Petey. We got Joseph. We got Tito. We know Joseph's going to start up top. I'm just trying to figure out if you had to bet your, I'm not going to say life, car. Car, you have a pretty nice car, right?
It runs.
I think my car...
I'd be happily willing to bet it for something.
My car just blew up this week. I think the catalytic converter's gone. I don't really know what that is. But, Joe, if you had to throw out a lineup, just give me your best guess here. What are we going to see Thursday night, 10 p.m. in Costa Rica?
I think we're going to see LGP, Parkey, and Larinowitz on the back line with your wingbacks of Gressel and George Bello, with the middle of Remedy, Nagby, and scratch Nagby, actually. I think Barco is going to sit there in the middle.
Yeah.
And then your front three is going to be Petey on the left, Joseph in the middle, Tito Villalba on the right.
I love it. I don't think Nagby's match fit. I think Barco can play in the middle, and he's proven it in preseason. Guys, that's all we know about tactics right now. Once we see them play, we're going to know more about Frank the Tank, Frank Dabor's style, and really see what this season's going to look like. But obviously, join us next week for Total Tactique. We're going to open up a new section. We talked about it last week a little bit. We want to hear from you guys this season, so we're going to open up, we're going to call it, I guess, listener mail. Let's do it. Ooh, that's cool. Little dub.
It's really cool that someone actually emailed us last week.
I actually can't believe it. We were refreshing our inbox every 5 minutes. Does anyone actually listen? But we realized a lot of people listen. And so we got a couple messages in. Wanted to highlight just a couple messages, couple comments we got across social media and through Gmail. We tried to sort through them all. I felt like this one was the best one to address right off the bat. This comes from a anonymous email, but I believe his name was Dan. It says, although the Nagby rumor has hopefully been resolved, it still doesn't change the fact that Nagby didn't get any preseason action with the first team. Does this hurt his chances at playing during the first two Concacaf Champions League games? Joe, what's your take on this?
Well, I think I actually addressed it in my own opinion of the starting lineup. I scratched Nagby from the lineup. I think it absolutely does hurt his chances of playing, at least starting in that Champions League game. He did not play at all during the preseason, was not with the team, so he's not match fit, as managers like to say. Not only is he not match fit, but he's got to earn his starting job back because, as we talked previously in the episode, we've got a lot of depth on this team, and there's going to be heavy rotation throughout the year. So Nagby now is just now getting to training and getting to be with the team. We all know how good he is, and when he's full fit, he is very excellent, possibly the best on the ball on our team. But he's got to earn his way back to being a starter on this team, and there's plenty of people in that loaded up midfield to cover his spot.
Yeah, see, I'm going to disagree with you here because I think that it's not like he's been sitting on his couch eating Cheetos while he's been absent from the team. I'm sure he's been training. I'm sure he's been working out. It's kind of like if you guys watch NFL in the offseason, just because a player holds out from training camp, if it's one of the star players, if it's Antonio Brown, if it's the best receiver in the game, you're going to throw him out there. So I'm not saying he starts, but I think we'll see him a good portion of this first game, and I think he starts the second game personally. Here's a quote. This came from Doug Roberson, who does a great job covering Atlanta United for the I'm going to try to say it, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He does a fantastic job. That's just what's a constitution? Is that really a newspaper? I thought that was... Anyways, I'm not getting anywhere with this, but what I'm saying is he says that Nagby has no issues with the front office. And then Frank the Tank Dabor said that Nagby is one of the best players in the MLS. He came out and quoted saying that he's a very important player for this group. As a coach and as a person, never had problems with him. So glad he's back with us and training with us. I think that says it all. I think he's a huge part of Dabor's plans, and I think that we'll see him play probably 45 minutes on Thursday night, and then I would not be surprised at all to see him starting for our second leg up in Kennesaw.
Well, thank you for that fan mail, and you guys keep sending us fan mail at atliansunited@gmail.com, and we will answer your questions throughout the week.
Yeah, and I mean, we had one other comment come through that I thought was kind of funny for our regular listeners. You guys can tag us on social media, whatever. We got a message. It just said, thanks for coming back for a second podcast season. Not too fanboyish, not too frat boyish, not too know-it-all-ish. Fun, refreshing, and interesting. I promise that wasn't one of us that wrote. It was from @SportsFRC. So thanks whoever @SportsFRC is. I hope you listened to this week's episode. We really do appreciate your feedback. Glad to know that we're not too fanboyish, frat boyish, or know it too all-ish. I guess we strive to be that, don't we, Joe? Give it our best go.
We love the comments and we love the questions, so keep coming back. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. And until then, we will be back, hopefully, dubiously, after we've won our first leg of the Concacaf Champions League. We might have another early recording next week, so keep an eye out on your updates on your phone. And we're going to go ahead and preview next week's Concacaf and the first MLS coming up.
Yeah, we got a lot coming up. We got first MLS match against DC United up in DC. We got leg 2 of the Concacaf Champions League. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, see you next week. It's going to be a fun time, a fun ride. I hope you guys get some sleep on Thursday despite the late kickoff. I'm Blake the Marshman.
I'm ATL Joe.
Yeah.
Time to listen to that wonderful song again.
Maybe sleep well tonight so you can stay up late tomorrow.
One second, big one. We ready, need everybody involved. We ready. Some days I smile like me. Everybody united around my city. Mercedes Benz sound real pretty. Coach top of me and I'm ready. Atlanta, united. We ready, we routed. We back again and we bout it. We ready, we routed. We back again and we bout it. You could probably catch me in the front row with a bad bitty body banging like a bongo. We got the cup, but we want more. Can you tell a Boca? We got Leandro. Everybody here, alright, hola. You know what it is, 5 strikes, don't stop. You know what it is, we just cut up the rest. Now we got a gold star hanging above the crest. They lost in translation, they not understanding me. Joseph Martinez, Atlanta is family. My city love me, Orlando was mad at me. I kept it clean, but they stopped open trash at me. WrestleMania, Frank the boy, MLS champs. Gotta thank the Lord, boy, we number 1. What you take us for? Got a shout out off the Blanks in the course. United, we ready, we routed, we back again and we bout it. We ready, we routed, we back again and we bout it. Alright, oh yeah. We ride, yeah. We back again and we bout it. One time play, yeah. Oh yeah, to you, my